during games, who creates strategy? Who makes tactical decisions? So for the sake of this podcast series, strategy, we're defining it as long-term goals and objectives over the course of a season or a tournament or a couple of years or so. Long-term plans. Tactics are how you do that. So who makes strategic decisions? Who makes tactical decisions?
So before the game, it's the coaches. So we do performance analysis all together, and we pick up on strategies and techniques and tactics, to go against different oppositions. It's really funny, actually, when you sit back and watch footage. Some teams play very similar, some teams play a certain way. So there are things that can counteract that. And as coaches, they know those correct tactics to go against that particular group at the time. So they're very much, I think it comes from the coaches. And then during the game, because the coaches can only watch and view, during the game, it becomes very much the team. So if we wanted to put a zone in, for example, whilst playing, so like a box defense, sometimes the shooter would call it. So if it's a backline pass coming in, so their goalkeeper, is taking a back line coming through the court, we would then set up a box defense. And that is very much dictated from the shooter, because they're at the front of the box. They would then dictate it. So they would either call man on, or we would then do this box defense. I would say wing attacks predominantly call. So that's, one of my positions. I would call the centre pass setups and the strategies that we'd go against in that instance. So I guess as a captain, that plays another part in my role as well. So when I'm playing in that wing attack position, I'm very much bossing the goal attack around, telling her what we should do to combat those. So that's very much like in the game at the time. And I guess down the other end, in terms of defence as well, the wing defence is the main leader in that instance. So they would call the defensive structures and relay that in terms of the goal defence, goalkeeper as well. So, but overall strategy, so long-term plans tend to come from us as a group. So we don't really have, it's not very much coach and captains sitting down and discussing strategies for the group. I think that's very much open to the floor. Obviously, the coaches would lead on that. But as a captain, I don't very much play a part in, obviously, the strategies in terms of the long goals that we want. I think the coaches more take a lead on that, and then we facilitate it as leaders. So obviously get those opinions out of the players as well.
So the tactical stuff, I'm a bit intrigued in. I sort of sat forward then in my seat. Yeah. I've watched a bit of netball. I don't have an understanding of the same level as you do to it, but it comes across as very much as a one-to-one game. Your player marking a specific opponent in a specific position.
Yes.
But the way you're describing box defence and things like this, it seems like you're trying to set up there are variations to this in terms of how to. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of tactics that you can do as well as a team and as players to overcome. So box defense is probably the main one that we do, and it's very much a Kiwi style. So the New Zealanders are fantastic at it, and I do recommend watching them play positions. They're very much, they rely on each other, so they will create this box defense. So it's not man on defense or one-to-one defense. It's very much that box defense. So they're space hunting. So they'll sit in the space in which the attackers want to drive into. And then obviously they can play on to any pass. We used to call it our house. So if you can imagine the square that we protect in the middle. So it's predominantly all attackers want to get the ball in the middle channel. It's like the best place to have the ball, because you can see all options down the court. So you've got your forward, your diagonal and your lateral options. And the middle, landing the ball in the middle channel is the best place as an attacker to have the ball. So the one thing that the box defense does is it stops the attackers penetrating into that middle. So then they're forced to the sidelines where there's now limited options for them on the ball. And so that's why lots of defenders like using it. So it protects the middle, but you have to rely heavily on everybody else doing their job. So, if there's one person out of place of that box defense, an attacking group can completely eliminate it. And we used to call it our house. So the middle channel, the box that we're protecting, is our house. So we can't allow attackers coming into our house. So it's a really good, obviously, strategy, and I'm seeing it a lot more now in Super League than I have done. A lot of teams that are using it now, because they're trying to eliminate attackers, getting that ball in that middle channel.
So you mentioned that the wing players, the wing defence, the wing attack would have a lot of input into how that works in practice, whether you stick with this or if you make micro or macro adaptations during a match. Why that specific position? Why specifically the wingers?
So as a wing attack, it's I remember about a couple of years ago it came a part of your role. So each position has roles that you have to play, and it became very evident that the wing attack would set that up. So only because the goal attack has a lot on their plate in terms of doing the centre pass and then scoring the goals. So that role and responsibility was put to the wing attack because they have the time to set up these these set plays, these strategies, to overcome any sort of defensive lineup that is put in front of them. Because predominantly we want to be taking centre passes to goal. That's how we're going to win the game. So that responsibility was on the wing attack, and as a wing attack, your job is to have a really good change of direction. You have to have good speed. You have to be able to have the ability to get free in small spaces. So it did rely heavily on the wing attack. And then the wing defence, again, because they've got time to set up on this on the centre pass line, the goal defence is obviously their job is to stop the goal attacks from getting into the circle to score. Obviously, the keeper's too far away to get involved, and they've obviously got to keep the goal shooter out of play as well. So the wing defence will then take on that job in terms of setting it up. And when I shift into the centre position, I like seeing the strategy that the wing attacks put in place. So I can read, as soon as I see a certain play or a certain movement, as a centre, I like seeing that because I can read it. And role reverse, as I'm running back, I like it when the wing defence is telling me what to do. So, as a centre, you're constantly running up and down the court, pretty much doing shuttles throughout the game. So as I'm running back in terms of setting up my defensive position, I want that wing defence telling me where they want me, what setup we're doing. So it does heavily fall on the wings.
So there are sectional leaders within a team on the court who see different things, have different perspectives, and they have a higher or lower level of input depending on the game.
Yeah, definitely. And just because I'm captain, because of the responsibility on your bib, that's the role you have to play, and that does bring out certain leaderships in people, which is fantastic. And I don't want to be, I'm not that captain where it's like, no, I'm the captain, I get to say everything at the end, at the start, etc. I like seeing the girls. And the thing with netball, I'm up for being questioned on it or challenged, but I believe that netball is such a team sport because you have to rely on positions. Now, for example, in basketball, I could go up and score myself. It's the same in most invasion game sports, but I can't, as a centre, run into the circle and score. I have to rely on the goal attack and goal shooter to score those goals for my team. And it's the same with the goal defence and goalkeepers. I have to rely on them to get turnover. And they have to rely on me to give a good pass. So I find netball is such a team sport because you do have to rely on other individuals doing that role, and being that leader in that role as well. So it's nice to see, and I think netball allows that for positions to bring out that little bit of leadership in them as well, which is fantastic to see. And I like seeing it. I like being told what to do by the wing defence and stuff as I'm running back trying to catch breath. So it's quite nice.